The Superintendent for the Guam Department of Education, Jon Fernandez. Good morning, John.
Uppity, Chris.
Good morning.
I guess just first of all, how are we doing on the grab-and-go meals? And, thank you again. That's an awesome program. It's a huge undertaking, but like I always say, this is one of the first things you guys thought about when we got those 3 positive cases. And when you talk about COVID heroes, I mean, you guys are out there every day feeding people who need food, and it doesn't get much more heroic than that, John. So what can you tell us about just the status of the program and I guess the roundabout info?
Well, I mean, I think first of all, I mean, you're right. I mean, a lot of the employees that are out there at the school sites, they include our administrators and our staff. We're really thankful for them for continuing to step up. We didn't want to force anybody to come out and do this job. We wanted people who were willing to come out and recognize that there are some risks associated with it, but we're going to take protective measures, and we just need them to have a good attitude and be willing to work with the community. And so we've had our staff out there, and we're producing 12,000 breakfasts and 12,000 lunches every day. And, it seems to be going smoothly, over the last week and a half. We did have a hiccup at some point when there seemed to be toward the end of last month, just really excessive demand, and we were running out of food. But that seems to have calmed down now, and it's been pretty smooth for the past several days. So I think the big decision for us right now, and we've been in touch with the governor, lieutenant governor on this, is typically we serve our school meals right up until the end of the school year, which is about the 3rd week of May. And the question is whether or not we can continue that service at least through the summer until school starts again. So we do have the flexibility to do that. The federal agencies and USDA gave us the flexibility to do serving over the summer. The problem is we don't normally budget for that. So we've been in touch with the lieutenant governor and governor to let them know that we can do it, and I think the governor wants us to continue. And then we're just ensuring that whatever local funds need to be, or whatever funding needs to come forward to be able to support that can be assured, so that we can make sure we're paying our bills. So we estimate that'll be probably about $1 million in the additional support that we'll need. But we're able to, under the waiver, be able to continue the food service probably up until August 7th, which is the last day of summer for us. So that's the next phase, and we hope that we'll get everything lined up and be able to make that an official announcement. But we do think there's a need for food service and food support, and that's definitely been shown by all the people showing up at our 12 school sites.
Yeah, and it's just kind of crazy that there hasn't been anyone else from the government to kind of, step up and...
Well, we have this other food support program. I don't know if
the commodities one?
The commodities one. And this is something when I first came on board, I wasn't sure why the school system was running it. It seemed to be more like maybe a public health type of support or through the SNAP program or so forth. But, it ends up that we're running it. And so, right now with the government, the U.S. government, the federal side has provided more support to the emergency food program. So we're seeing, I think we had about 18 containers lined up coming in, and then I hear an additional 29 containers of food coming into this program later this summer. So we've been able to work with our nonprofit organizations. We've been working with our partners in the government at GORA and the mayors to do these distributions of commodities out to families in need. And this is separate and apart from the school meals program. So that was our first round of distribution. The senior centers, the GORA housing set of locations, and then also through Sanctuary, Catholic charities, and so forth. And we're looking forward to planning the rest of the summer and trying to make sure that we hit those gaps, those either villages that we have not yet been able to get the commodities to, and other. We're looking at maybe working with Department of Labor if there's any things that they're working on to reach out to the recently unemployed or furloughed, be able to maybe pair up and see if we can get food support out to those families.
How are those food supplies being distributed?
So we normally have these food supplies coming in, and we had been doing these distributions normally maybe twice a week down in our PD warehouse. But
Right.
because of the emergency measures, we just can't afford to have people line up down in PD, under the same operation. So, and then of course during this particular time, we think the need is more widespread over across the island. So. What we've done is we've got these commodities. I mean, these are just packages of food that can be prepared. So either canned goods, bags of rice, things like that. We bag them into so we can bag combinations of these foods together so that we can give families and individuals a variety of those commodities. Typically, it is based on need, and we typically have work with public health to go through an identification and signatures by these households. But under the new rules and flexibility given, we're not necessarily going to have to go through that cumbersome administrative process. We'll be able to work with organizations and mayors to really, who know the community and who know the areas of need, and have more flexibility in giving them out to those families who need it, and without having to go through the bureaucratic processes.
How many families are you guys feeding through this program?
I'll get the totals, but we have another round that we're about to push out, and they're saying that this next push, which is probably a couple weeks worth, is about 5,300 individuals. So
wow, thanks. That's great. My auntie, John, my mom's sister's, she passed from cancer, but she was on getting commodities. I know that we're all struggling, and it was something that she was able to. Avail herself of. And I mean, it goes a long way, and I can't even imagine. I mean, it hurts to wrap my mind around all the people that need that. So for you guys to be able to reach out to, over 5,000 families, it's just phenomenal.
And that's just currently in this program.
Right, and we have a lot more coming in. And I think for us, we did the school meals, and school meals are basically prepared meals. But we also know that in this particular time period, people are trying to conserve, they're trying to stretch resources out over time. So having the commodities available that you can bring home and prepare at your leisure, stretch it out as long as you can, that gives these families more control of those those resources. And again, we're listening to the news, we're monitoring. We understand that federal relief may not just kind of show up at your doorstep right away. So whatever bridge support we can provide between now and when the resources come in to support these families and households, we're trying to do our part.
Okay. Are you guys looking forward to not looking forward, but planning for the possibility of what might happen next school year?
Right. So, John, that's I wanted to ask you too. So, Dr. Mike Cruz came out and released this, and he kind of just glossed over it, and I think they're going to really present more details today. But he said new peak September, October. That's like right at the start of the school year. So.
Right. So of course we're watching what's happening with our team, and we're watching what's happening in other states and paying attention to this debate. I think a lot of this recovery is being talked about as an economic recovery, but I'm pretty certain, and I feel strongly that the K-12 decisions and what happens with the school system is going to be very important to that, because as you know, with all the kids at home, all these parents who can't work or have to get childcare, a lot of that's going to impact the economic side when people try to return to normalcy. So we're trying to get our plans together. It's all going to be based on health and safety. We're not in the business of, I know that's the governor's job, but we're not in the business of balancing the economy with safety. We're going to have to say, look, safety first. We got all these kids. So we're going to be paying attention to public health and what they say is, in terms of how we operate. And we're already planning for different contingencies. One is normal operations. Another situation is whether, if we can come back, but we have to maintain social distancing, and that might trigger, having to stagger school schedules. Or three, having to prolong the distance learning approach and to strengthen that so that we're not simply trying to salvage the school year, which I think a lot of states and districts are doing right now, but really doing it in a more robust way and purchasing the equipment, helping kids connect back, at home, and ensuring that we can address the grading and progress of our students when they come back. So we have to do all of that planning, and we're doing it now. But we also have to do it in tandem with our public health officials as part of the recovery effort.
Right. Has there been any discussions with public health then if school resumes in after summer that there would be any sort of like mandatory medical screenings, testing?
Right. All of those things are going to be part of the discussion. So not yet with public health. We know they're working on the public health side of the testing and trying to deal with their cases. I did reach out and talk to the Lieutenant Governor. I said, look, as part of your economic recovery team, I know that you're going to want to know where K-12 is at, and also have that dialogue. So we're ready and we're standing by. But again, when people come back to normal, it's not going to be normal, right? It's going to be a new normal. And things like the availability of personal protective gear for all of our employees will probably be among the top requests that we're going to get. And, knowing that there's a shortage, we have to start preparing now for what happens. Will we be able to get a supply of that type of equipment, as well as dealing with the other operational, issues.
What about like deep cleaning of the schools before kids go back, if they do go back?
Right. So that's we've already gone through a round of that. When we closed down, that's the first thing we did with our custodial groups. We said, look, we're not likely to come back, so proceed with the deep sanitation and cleaning of the classrooms and facilities. And they've been closed since then, except for the food services. So obviously we'll do what we can to prepare the facilities as well over the summer additionally. But again, there's just so many things hanging out there in terms of the possibilities of, like I said, we've got to get plan A, B, and C lined up. And then hopefully as we go through the next few weeks into May and early June, we'll have a better picture of what we'll be able to plan for as the new normal for the school year. And so we'll be working closely and have to be working closely with the governor on that plan.
Okay.
All right. John, anything else you want to add in closing?
No, I just want to encourage. Thank you for getting the information out. We do have this online, web page for all the parents out there looking for the teaching supports and activities for their kids to do. So we've expanded that to the grab and learn, school distribution processes, and then also PBS University. We just launched a televised version of these lessons with the PBS KGTF. So we're hoping that people will also use that as a resource to keep their kids learning, not just through the rest of the school year, but over the summer. So hopefully we'll continue to get that word out.
Cool. We'll do that. John, just again, do you have any numbers on the grab and go meals? Just maybe like a weekly. How many do you guys give out a week? And then I could do the math going back.
Yeah, so it's 24,000 total meals, right? Breakfast and lunch every day. So we're talking about $50,000 meals. Every couple of days. So, we can, I think we already got over 500,000 for the weeks that we were open, and that was about a week ago. So we're going to be approaching probably 1 million, 2 million by the time we hit the end of the school year.
Again, John, getting kind of choked up here, but I can't thank you guys enough. I know that it wasn't just you. Like you said, your staff is out there. Obviously there's a risk, but the need is so great. And I think that, sometimes you got to no risk, no reward, right?
There's a lot of commotion out there about the right way to go about doing this, but I think we're with the numbers that we're seeing and hopefully the expanded testing, the community as a whole can feel more positive about just continuing to do their part to prevent the spread of the virus, and hopefully we can get out of this much earlier than projected. So hopefully we can all do our part to throughout the community.
There you go. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Hey, thanks.
Wash your hands.
Take care.
Right, bye-bye.
Okay. Superintendent Jon Fernandez. Man, the things he's saying, Bree, about bridging, people finding a way to get them fed until this federal money comes out, talking about how they need to get these commodities out to these families. It just resonates so much with me, and part of it is because we're not hearing anything like that at all coming out from Adelup. All we're hearing from